everyone. Welcome. I'm Kelsey. I'll be filling in for Jen today. Just to let you guys know, I will be keeping an eye on Facebook if you want to drop any questions in during Jane's presentation. But if you want to participate in the private Q&A after the presentation, we'll be taking place on Zoom. The link is in the Facebook event, and drop-ins are always welcome. So once you register, you'll get the link and you can pop on over. Today we have our creative director, Jane, who is super excited to talk to you guys about brand personalities, how to develop one, how to use it to build relationships with your target audience. And I think she's also launching something super special today. So without further ado, I'm just going to pass things over to Jane so we can get started.
I'd like to share the most important thing, which is my new pink keyboard. Check it out. Very excited about this. It even lights up, so I'm totally branded. I'm so sorry, everyone. I know some of you haven't signed up for like 3 weeks. The first week, I'm like, we're just not ready. We need more time. And then last week, there was no internet for pretty much Middletown to Wilmington, I think. So that was a lot of fun. And by a lot of fun, I mean 0 fun. So we had to reschedule, but alas, we are here today. We took that time to really polish off everything, and I'm so excited about what we're going to reveal to you today. I'm actually going to start with what we're revealing first. I know, sorry, don't sign off too early or anything. You're like, okay, I got what I needed, I'm out, because I'm going to wait to post a link until after I'm done. But we launched 12 brand personality ebooks. We completely revamped it. I'm not sure if you guys remember this. We kind of launched it a couple years ago, I think, but now it's better and it's improved and it's amazing. So we soft launched today, which means that after this, I'm going to paste the hidden link for you guys. So you guys can go and test it out. And I would love to know what brand personality you are. We have several, and I'll go into that. But I think we're putting the cart before the horse a bit, because I think what's most important is the brand story. And that's really about, winning hearts and converting leads. It's kind of like a 2-pronged process. The winning hearts is the branding, the converting leads is the marketing. So having that story is important. And you can reverse engineer this and say, okay, well, what are we about? What's important to us? But people will know if you're not authentic. If you're not honest and sincere, they're going to feel that, and you're not going to be winning as many hearts as you'd expect. So if you're thinking about launching a new company, start with that story aspect first. Who are you helping primarily? How do you do it, right? And how does that change their lives? So you have like their pain points, which is, let me think of an example here. Okay, I'm going to make this problem up. Let's talk shoelaces. So you have the pain point of, oh my gosh, I have to use a shoehorn to get into my shoe. It's so hard. If only I had a zipper or laces, and you come up with that and you invent those laces or that zipper. Like, you've completely revolutionized the entire industry. And you save people probably countless minutes in the morning putting on those shoes, So think of it from that standpoint. Of course, that's a more surface and shallow example. So I'll take it to a real life example, which is close to my heart, and that is the creation of Brand Swan. I knew I wanted to work with Jen. That was sort of like me putting the cart before the horse. Like, okay, Jen, we're going to start something. What is it? And the more we talked, we realized there was a common denominator when working with people and meeting people, whether it be interns or clients or other women or people from all sorts of walks of life. They never really knew how awesome they were. You would have coffee with them, and only then did you really know what kind of person they were, So even though they might put themselves on paper, they may have a business card, it never really communicated the meat and potatoes of everything. So that's what we really set out to do, is we wanted to reveal people's inner awesome and showcase that. And that was part of our strategy. And since Jen is technically here, Jen's strategy of winning hearts from us. Because we wanted to not focus on us so much. We wanted to focus on our clients, people we meet along the way. And I can give you one example of why I think we're so passionate about this. We had an intern come in. We get a lot of interns, but typically the point is to teach them, pay them money for freelance, and then send them on their way to whatever they're looking to do, whether it be a creative agency or freelance themselves, whatever. But I was helping her with her resume, and I realized she had over 700 hours of internships. And I'm thinking to myself, like, girl, why are you working for free for 700 hours? And her work was amazing. And it's like, So I said, no more internships after me, obviously, but no more internships. We're going to get you a job. So she got a job, and I'm just so proud of her. And I just think if one other person had said that maybe 100 hours prior or 500 hours prior, you know, she could have been doing this much faster. So I think the goal of the brand story is to really think about the other people and the people you're helping when you're selling the products or services. So once you have that story in place, you can then focus on what I consider to be the very fun stuff, which is the branding. And it's interesting because I'm actually in the process of helping someone name a company. They have meat and potatoes, they know why they're doing it, but they just couldn't come up with a great name. And honestly, I don't know if you guys ever searched domain names recently, but there's a lot that it's taken. I mean, any combination of any word is taken. And furthermore, something that's a little like sleazy, I think, is that there are companies out there whose entire mission is to come up with cool names and buy the domains and then sell them for thousands of dollars to people who have that idea. So it's kind of scammy. I mean, you know, I guess it's innovative, whatever, but I've always felt it was kind of dirty to do it that way. It's almost like they owned something that really wasn't theirs, you know? So I have a moral dilemma against that. So sometimes you do have to negotiate a domain name and say, okay, well, if my name is X, I really want it to be .com. With BrandSwan, we were actually able to get the .com for much cheaper than we thought, but sometimes these domains are going for like $10,000+ doing branding for one of my clients, I typed in something like just two very common words. It was going for over $40,000. So it's like, whoa. So when you are branding your idea and coming up with a name, it is important to make sure that you can get at least some consistent handle or social media name for all of those platforms. And that helps people find you. And again, just making it more memorable. So when branding, I always recommend you come up with cool names and not just common word and company or common word, whatever. So get creative with your branding. And of course, we can help you with that. But so that would be my tip number one, is making sure that your name can at least be somewhat memorable, if not in Delaware, at least regionally and even in the country. Unless you're Nike, you don't have to worry too much about, you know, international sales. But think about where you want to be in 5 years, who your target market is, and that will kind of guide you along the way as to where you should start with that branding. So once you've figured out those technical details of making sure your name isn't taken, and please, I beg of you, make sure your name isn't taken up front before we start the logo process, before you start buying domain names, just make sure that it's available. So I'm probably going to go over, I can already tell I'm talking too much already, but I really want to show you these brand assessments here. So I'm going to share my screen. Yes, and definitely check your social media handles. I'm seeing some stuff coming in from Jen. All right. Ta-da! Are we here? We've made it? Okay, cool. So I'm going to paste this link in. I'm actually going to probably send it right here in Zoom. Bear with me for a second. Holy crap, my husband's here. Oh, that's not embarrassing or anything. It's fine. I'm fine. Look at that. Fancy. Okay, so that's the link. And what we really want you to do is to trust your gut with these answers. Because if you overthink it, sometimes you kind of ruin that first impression, I think. So if we start the quiz, it's going to ask you some very basic things. Pick the words that best fit your brand. So we only give you 2 options for this one. And I'm going to go ahead and answer it as per BrandSwan. I'm going to pick approachable and pick the words that best fit your brand. Again, exciting. I don't think BrandSwan's very soothing. And pick the words that best fit your brand. I don't know, Jen. I really feel like we're hardworking, but that might just be behind the scenes. Find out. And then it's going to ask you some more difficult questions. You know, what does your customer most want from you or your organization? And this is a really good time to figure out if you're in line with this. So, for example, if you want to get their needs met without any fuss, you need to make sure that you have a process that just takes people very smoothly through without any headaches. How easy is it to use your product, or communicate with you, or get information? How long does it take for them to get it? Something else that you might want to do is that they might feel like they have exclusive access to something that sets them apart from others. A really good example of that might be, gosh, I don't even know if you guys would remember this. Well, I'll give you another example. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of Dribble. It has like 3 B's in it. I'm actually going to type it out. It's a designer's, like, I call it the elite designer club, embarrassingly so, because it used to be invite only. So other professionals would have to invite other professionals. And that was their way of making it feel really exclusive and coveted in that way. So if I were to answer this brand swan, oh gosh, these are hard. I mean, I think we're awesome on all sorts of ways. So, I'm gonna go trust. Oh God. Jen, are you comparing your answers? But how do you want your customers to feel when they experience your brand or visit your website? So we have welcoming, again, that exclusive experience, ready to work, the most sensible choice, and pioneers. I'm gonna go with ready to work. And why are your customers loyal to you? You're the best, period. You were above the competition. And this is a hard one because how many people, like, raise your hand, but how many people have seen a website where they say that they were the leading provider in something? And you're like, how did you even get that? Do you have a testimonial or something? So unfortunately, it's not really regulated. Anyone can just say they're the best at anything. So just keep that in mind. If you are the best, make sure you can back that up with data, or at least a testimonial. I'm going to choose, oh my gosh, so many. Innovative and fresh, personal relationship, you're the best, built on experience. All right, I'm gonna go with them. Product and service is awesome. All right, and what makes your company different from others? I think this is the most important part of branding, is finding that unique value proposition. I know we say these words and you're like, what does that really mean? But it's what sets you apart so that you can be known for it. Another example in my industry, how many people know about 5 web designers or branding or photographers? It's a saturated market for us. So, and we're friends with everybody, before me and Jen partnered up, we had competing companies, but we all had our own niche, So Jen was really focused on nonprofits. I was really focused on small business and women, and so forth. So some people are more focused on marketing versus branding or just web design. So finding that niche, I think, creates harmony in a variety of ways. But mostly it just makes you really good at what you do. Because as a small business, you can't be everything to everyone, right? So you have to start somewhere. And what that is will ultimately be your signature service, and is why people come to you and why people refer you. So what makes your company different from others in our field? Tough one. Who's here having a hard time coming up with their own answers? Anybody? We're revolutionary. All right, I'm doing this. I'm doing it. Okay. Which statement best represents your customer service philosophy? Philosophy. Do what you say you're going to do. Be super professional. Be honest, even if it hurts. Enthusiastic and connected. And every problem has a solution. I'm going to say be enthusiastic and connected. We have 2 questions to go, guys. And then we're going to figure out what a brand personality is. But what quote most resonates with you? The less you reveal, the more people can wonder. Mysterious, giving people just enough information that they really want to reach out to you and learn more. That's a great tactic. Strength and growth come only through continuous effort and struggle. I think that's really important for a year like last year, and probably some of this year. But people will remember who made it, who helped the community, and it's just a great time to build that good karma. Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. Very true, especially in certain industries. You were born an original, don't die a copy. People who want to stand out and be really unique. And intelligence without ambition is a bird without wings. So you can be the smartest person in the room, but if you don't do your homework, you're not going to get that A, right? So, gosh, I'm going to do this. I'm feeling it. All right, last but not least, people, which of the following do you value the most? Making an impact in the world, providing a quality service or product for your customers, providing an enjoyable experience, and developing a truly unique product or service. I know which one Jen would pick, but I'm going to do. Boom. All right, here we go. Obviously, we got to snag your email, guys. That's just, you know. All right, authentic. Not really surprised, but yeah. So the cool thing about this is that you can download it, and it'll give you a lovely PDF on everything there is to know about it. So I happen to have this PDF up. Can you guys see it? Yep, okay, good. Wasn't sure if it was just a window. So let's just go through the authentic one. It just happens to be A in the alphabet, but I'm not surprised. So the couple of things that we really show you is one, how to use this brand book. And number two, traits that identify. So if you're an authentic brand, you might be honest, sincere, down to earth, reliable, definitely trustworthy. But there are some negative things that can be associated with that brand as well. Bias, a little foolish, unassuming. So you don't really want to come off like that, but you just have to know that you can be perceived in that light depending on what, how you're communicating, what issues you're communicating about, especially if you are talking about something other than your product and service, you know, maybe something, how to change the world, things like that. So just be alert for that. And we give you examples of other authentic brands. And with these in particular, you can see that the colors are sort of all over the place. We picked the black versions of some of them, but here you have red, you have purple over here. Some are in script, some are just in, you know, very simple typefaces. So you have a lot of legroom with these. We also give you some typography examples to guide you. So if you're starting to look for a logo or at least maybe a slogan link or just any type of font to launch your brand, we definitely recommend this. Now, when we launched Brand Swan, we started out with one font. I can't even talk about it. I'm still heartbroken. But all of our systems use Google Fonts or Google Fonts and Google Docs. We loved it. It helped us streamline our process. Everything looked beautiful. But to this day, it does not support fonts that aren't on Google Fonts. So I had to retire it. One day I'll bring it back and it's going to be amazing. But we retired it in the name of consistency. So that's the key is, and I will say that when you make a new company or you start your branding process, sometimes that's not what you land with. And I'm going to show you some horribly embarrassing, well, they're not really embarrassing at the time. Looking back, I'm like, why did we even go that direction? This is obviously the best one. But I'm going to show you very quickly what we call the old basic bitch brand. I'm going to pull it up. It's probably under style guide. Nope, not style guide. Styles. Where are you? Might just been our logo. Yeah. Okay. So when we originally started this, oh God. Let's see. Client work. Surprise. We ended up going with this pink and black number. We're like, oh yeah, it's so cool. It's so sleek. But ultimately, when me and Jen kept going on the story, what we were offering, it felt more and more disconnected, the colors. And Jen looked at me one day and she's like, you know, I just really like bright colors. And I'm like, I like bright colors. Where the hell are we going with this? So we decided to just, you know, well, actually, I also think I picked our brand font several times. I must have redone our logo 4 times maybe. And every single time we'd update all of our templates, but Jen never complained, except for that one time I told her I was going to do it again. And she's like, no, but I was joking. So I think she's forgiven me. So that's when we realized, the colors just weren't quite right. And we're going to get into that. But fonts are kind of important. And you'll notice that whenever we design a font for a client, well, I wish we designed fonts. Whenever we pick a font for a client, we try not to duplicate. So if we use a font for a client one, we really try not to use that font again, unless it really fits, because we just want them to be unique and memorable. So here's some examples of some common fonts that you can actually get for free. I think most of them. And if you're like me, you'll see very subtle differences with all of them, but each one has a bit of its own personality. Milkshake is a bit more fun, and some of these are more sleek and geometric looking. And guys, just because you get one personality doesn't mean that you aren't also part of a different personality. We're very rarely ever just fit into a box, right? So you may mix and match personalities that really communicate your ideals. So maybe you're authentic, but you're also really exciting. So we'll go through some of that and how you might make that happen. And then, of course, we give you sample color palettes. And honestly, there are just so many colors that you can go with. And the hues of them and what they're combined with can really just change the entire emotional impact of that palette. So there it goes. I thought my dog might bark at the heater again, and I was ready to mute myself. Let's take a look at, let's do Humanist. This one's a fun one. We went back and forth on what this brand name was going to be, because you have change makers and doers and all sorts of businesses that focus on people. And Humanist, I think, really just kind of covered that spectrum. And although it may have some overlap with more corporations and things like that, I think it really deserved its own category. So this one, you can be charming, charismatic, change makers, cultured, engaging, and inclusive. And here are some examples of logos that focus on that. And you can see they're also across the board. Red Cross, Goodwill, Rothy's, I'm not sure if you heard of that, but they make like shoes out of water bottles, recycled. So all of these just have like a feel-good vibe about them. And you're going to see that reflective in the fonts that we picked that would represent the side. So you'll notice there is a little bit of playfulness here, but mostly the letters have personality, which I think just bring to life your story just a little bit more. Who here can decide if they know, well, if someone uses Times New Roman, do you notice? Or Arial, or even, dare I say, Comic Sans. I can't remember what I was looking at, but I was looking at something I thought was interesting, and then I realized these Comic Sans, I'm like, I just can't do it, I can't do it, but I realized my brain's a little bit more trained in that regard. So if you don't notice the font, sometimes that tells you it's the best one. If you notice it, then it's possible it might not be professional, or it might not fit the industry. For example, using Comic Sans if you're a funeral home, not so good, right? And of course, we have colors. You'll notice that a lot of them are just a bit more soothing because we're really trying to connect and inspire people as well. I'm just going to do one more, and then let's see here. Let's do sophisticated. We also have rugged too, which is a bit more as you would expect. So sophisticated is one of my favorites because it covers, I think, a wide variety of brands. Classy, charming, elegant, sleek, and sharp. Although they invoke different emotions, are all like considered sophisticated. So here we have several sophisticated brands, and a lot of them are more in the luxury industry. You know, you have your Coach, your Rolex, and it's interesting just how timeless these logos are, because some of them have been in business for 100 years or more, right? So some of them, their brands have just changed just a little bit. So whenever we recommend typefaces, we really do keep in mind the timelessness of them. The more trendy you make something, the harder it is, I think, to follow you as your business grows. We got some really cool fonts here. The thick and thin lines are pretty standard for like a sophisticated brand. Think like Vogue magazine and all that good stuff. So we incorporated some are more scripty, a little bit more playful, but all very sophisticated. Sophisticated sometimes use a lot of black and dark colors, but they tend to be gold. There's a little pop of color, nothing too crazy. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is how to communicate with your target audience. Because although you have the visuals locked down and they invoke that feeling of everything feels great, what's your messaging look like? Are you using the right words? Are you being too wordy? Are you using words that some people don't understand? Because even though it's industry jargon, it doesn't connect with someone. So be aware of that. And furthermore, what are people typing in the search engines to find you? Example, let's say I call us a website boutique. No one really types it into Google. So when we represent ourselves, we have to keep that in mind and change that verbiage, at least on website copy. And your voice should really carry over to your social media posts, how you engage with people when they contact you or message you, in your blog and your content, like pretty much everything. Also when you're networking. Although I tried to convince Jen that we should wear pink all the time, but she didn't go for it. So a little disappointed. But yeah. And one thing I will say, my last thing, before we do questions and answers, is that you as a person may not be the same brand as your company. So if you want to take this test a couple of times to see how it aligns, that might be a good idea, especially if, let's say, you have your business, but you're also a speaker on the side. What does that look like? Because a person coming in to train someone is more approachable than a company hiring another company, because the company hiring another company, they're kind of admitting, hey, we need help, versus someone they're just bringing in as, oh, we just need a freelancer who will work for us. Because your resume, they like to make their resume, if that makes sense. So just think about your industry, what's more approachable, and then from there you can kind of decide how to brand yourself, visually and otherwise. Okay, I went through that very fast, but questions, anybody? Oh, we got some. Chats. Let's see.
Did you already go through what all the personalities were?
Oh, I didn't go through all of them, but yeah, I'll show you. Fellow creative. It was a tragedy. Oh, God. Oh, man. Yeah, so let me kind of go over what all the personalities are. You have authentic, which we went over, creative, humanist, which we covered, innovative. So think Apple, think Google, things of that nature, organic. And organic and rugged aren't quite the same. Organic can be more soft, whereas rugged, definitely has more masculine qualities. So you can see that in the brands that we've showed you. So the rugged has, yeah, so we added Jeep in there, Remington, built for tough. And you can kind of see the strength that's in this versus the organic, which I've already lost. Yeah, these are softer. So now they can overlap and they can be both organic and rugged as well. But we just wanted to show you the difference and going back and forth between them.
Yeah, Jane, what happens if you're a combination personality?
I know, which we all are, I think. So we covered those. What else we got? Playful. Sometimes I think I'm going to get this one, and it depends what day it is. But what I love about this book or this particular brand personality, is that playful can be in a variety of ways in a variety of age groups. So this one focuses more on kids, this brand here. Of course, you've got Barbie, Fisher-Price, Nickelodeon, Fruit Loops, Journeys, which targets more teens. So you can have a lot of different, oh gosh, Dave & Buster's is another one. And again, we found some really cool typefaces. Safe and resilient. I like to kind of put together at least when I'm speaking, because, you know, instead of just coming up with a corporate brand, we really wanted to separate them into more personalities. You know, like, what is corporate? Is that really personality? Don't corporates have their own mission and values? So the Safe brand, I lost it. The Safe brand talks about you're approachable, you're confident, a little bit corporate, you're established, consistent, trustworthy, and authoritative. So people trust you because you know your industry well and you've been around a while. So here's some examples of that. Notice they're using a lot of blues here, but Android, FedEx, PayPal, Amazon, all very safe brands. Especially with Amazon, because, you know, they have this guaranteed shipping. So you feel safe. If you order something, you feel pretty confident it's going to get to you. Resilient. These have a bit more, I like to say, longevity. So here, you're adaptable, dedicated, hardworking, persistent, and of course, reliable. Verizon, UPS, Starbucks, SheerTex. Unbreakable pantyhose, guys. I highly recommend it. Talk about resilient. Tranquil, I also really like, because I think with Tranquility also talks about there's a fragile aspect to it, which I find to be endearing, but it's delicate, healing, peaceful, soothing, whimsical in certain regards. So here's some examples of that. Love Beauty and Planet, Neutrogena, Pacifica, Olive Garden. Now, Olive Garden, you know, you wonder, is it organic? Is it rugged? But I think what puts this in the tranquil category is because the letters are a bit whimsical. So it just helps it stand out a bit more from the other Italian restaurants. It's probably what they were going with that one.
You know, I didn't think about it until just now, but I think a lot of hygiene products are tranquil. Not just what I was thinking, like Dove or, I don't know, any face wash ever.
Yeah, like soothing, red, you know. Yeah, you don't see very exciting face wash. Maybe exciting hair products, especially if you want to go for a mohawk. Cool. Did I talk about innovative a little bit? Innovative's fun. And this one's more, you know, cutting edge, high tech, more of a pioneer. They're ambitious, they're smart. They tend to be more competent and a bit more modern too. You know, they tend to be with the times. And here we have several examples. Some are more obvious, but Uber Eats, Netflix. And Netflix is actually a great example of a resilient brand because it started with DVDs, right? Like Blockbuster. And then eventually went all digital, and that's where the market was really going, and that's where they've been very successful. Facebook as well. I think I joined in like 2004. I'd have to look, but early 2000s, and it's still alive and kicking. So
yeah. I was gonna say what you like about Facebook. They've managed to last way longer than any other social network.
And it's like the yellow pages of the internet now, you know?
Yeah, it really is.
All right, cool. We got some comments. Yeah, the bigger the company, the less likely it is to match the owner's personality because it has to encompass all those different people. Very true. And that's why when you design like a landing page for a website, sometimes where the call to actions fall on the page is catered towards different types of people and how they make decisions. So if you have a great banner, let me pull up an example. I don't know. I have to find one. Let me try. Like, I wonder if we do it. Please hold. Okay. This isn't exactly the best example, but because it's not we don't have a whole lot of like places to take you. You know, we pretty much do branding we just do 3 things. But if you're a larger corporation and you're servicing a larger market, you usually have your, you know, your high D, you know, your desk personality type where you're ready, you're making decisions quickly, you want to get through it, you want to sign up and be done with it. You might have a big call to action right front and center for that person. But then perhaps you also serve managers who happen to be more cautious. They want to research everything first before they decide they even want to talk to you. And they're going to go farther down on the page before they make a decision. So if they get this far and they still don't really want, they're still not sure, they're going to get to our make an appointment section where now they can talk to us before they're ready to jump. So again, when you're building your content, you can target those different types of people based on where you think they're going to click on the website and appeal to that. It's a bit more strategic, but it's well worth it because it allows you to connect more deeply with the people who you're trying to help, regardless of how they prefer to communicate. If you're working with a lot of introverts, maybe you have a chat feature if you have someone to attend it. So those type of branding decisions can definitely come into your marketing and how you get those leads and convert them.